Sit back, relax, put your belt on, and enjoy the show.
Nels, do you want to take us through the Brumbies and the Rebels and see how long you can talk about Mac Hansen?
Mate, I do. He'll get some points here as well, so that'll be good. Look, in the returns column, we've got Solomoni Kata and Scotty Seo returning from a leg and back. They returned and played last week for the Brumbies Runners, which also beat the Waratahs A team. Just to rub some more salt in the wound. Falau Faenga, I mean, hopefully he's back as well from his toe injury. I haven't heard any recent updates, but it didn't seem like it was going to be a long injury. And Isi Nassarani, hopefully he returns from his knee arthroscope. He should be close in and around this team. Look, Jordan Uelisi, he came off that concern we touched on before about his knee, but it turns out that it's actually his hand that is injured. And we're waiting on some scans earlier in this week, so that sounds a little bit more concerning. If we don't see him, do we see 24-year-old Ed Craig come into the starting side, or do we see Chibba Hansen, James Hansen, who was a late pickup for them, coming into that starting side? Hopefully we see that because he was an awesome player. Don't know how long he's been training with them though, but it does sound like it's been for a little while. Also, it sounds like Campbell Magnay should be close. I think we were only thinking he was expected to return either last week or this week from a injury. Look, that gets rid of one of the issues for them in the back line. I don't think he lit it up for them last year, but he is quite a talented player. They've got Brendan Pangamosa. He is not in this team, but he is in the notes for some reason here.
Got him.
But yeah, look, the Brumbies driving maul is back to their full strength. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they go here against the Rebels. They just don't have a role in maul though. They've talked about it the last few years, and I think they really proved it last week as well. They have a raft of different ways that they can score tries and get their players in great positions to really, just hammer down any of the negatives they can find in opposition and exploit any weaknesses. They have a real solid base with their forwards. They've got good link men with White and Lolosio, and that back five, even without the likes of Kata and Tom Wright in the last couple of weeks, has looked really lethal as well. So I think they're going to be quite solid.
So does Kata just come straight in for Andy Muirhead, or is that how it's going to work?
I don't think so. I assume so. You'd see him on the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him on the bench.
You don't think he'll just get picked straight over Mac Hansen, who is the vastly junior player?
I think it's clearly time to drop Andy Muirhead.
Look, I think both of you are wrong. I think he comes into the bench and works his way back into that side. It's a respect thing at that club, and I don't think Solomon Kata's done enough to just jump back into a starting side when both those players are playing really, really well. I don't think they'll rush him back into that starting side, but who knows? A concern for the Rebels is, Craig, you were talking about how strong some of that Rebels scrum was last week. The video that came out of Pony just getting absolutely molested by Harry Hoopert in the scrum, just absolutely creamed, mate. So for me, that's a little bit of a concern from them against this solid Brumbies scrum.
But yeah, they had a few where they really gave it to them. Do you know how big that Rebels front row is? Actually enormous, because they're all about 6'3" or 4 or something. Like Elof, Ulysses, massive, and Pony. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, that's all well and good, but this Brumbies is basically a Wallabies front row. So.
Look, yeah, I am concerned, but I think they surprised us all the last year. They were much better than we thought in the scrum.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, that's a part of the match that they're going to really have to capitalise on if they're going to be able to win this one. They need that solid base. That's something that the Brumbies score a lot of their points from. So it'll be interesting to see how they go there. But look, the lack of DHP proved costly for them. Someone's going to have to step up in this back line. For me, that's Corabetti. He's just proving, too often for me that he's hot and cold when it comes to Super Rugby level. He needs to inject himself into this game. He needs to get amongst it. But if we Well, I mean, we don't know how long it is until DHP comes back. So how many times do we have to see the Rebels play in terms of not having any attack again before we see Hodge slot back to 15 and give someone else a chance, whether it's Louis Holland, who we know is quite skilled and quite quick, or do we see Tamua push into that 12 jersey, which I think he's done well in previous, last season he did really well there, and bring in a out and out fly half like Carter Gordon, although he is very young. So it'll be interesting to see where we go from there.
Surely what you're saying is get rid of Stacey Illy. Is that basically what you're saying?
Yeah, get rid of him.
What the hell? We talked about all the guys and the combos they could be playing at 10, 12, 13, 15 in the preseason. Stacey Illy was never even a potential option.
He wasn't even signed by them.
No. So why? Why is he starting? It makes no sense.
But I agree. Just throw anyone in there. Throw skill.
Why is Hodgie not playing 15 for mine? But anyway.
I agree. That's absurd. But look, the kicking is the only thing that's going to keep the Rebels in this game. But I just see the Brumbies running away with this in the second half. How do you guys think this will go?
Yeah, look, I think they'll certainly put up more of a fight than the Tars did. Because their defense was really good last week against the Reds. They really unsettled them. The Brumbies are kind of like the Crusaders of our competition. I can't really see them getting unsettled. They'll just find another way to lift up a gear. I agree. Brumbies to run away in the second half.
Yep.
Look, Murphy dominated them in the rolling maul. The Brumbies rolling maul is better. The Rebels line-out sucks. The Brumbies score a lot of their points from rolling maul, and the Brumbies have arguably the best scrum in the competition. So they're going to push them around a little bit there as well. I don't see how the Rebels can win this one. I don't think it's going to.
You're saying don't take our betting advice, but put money on the Rebels to score first points from a penalty from basically anywhere, and then put first try both halves on Falau Fainga if he's starting at hooker.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what I'm going to do.
Excellent. Very good. Any final points with this one, or are we good?
Gamble responsibly.
Gamble responsibly. That's it. This little disclaimer and all that.